Good morning, everybody. John Self here from Tyler, Texas. We're outside of Dallas. This is where I've been working in my career coaching practice. I apologize for the John Fetterman look today, but we are a lot going on around here, so I decided to ditch the tie. Although tonight on TikTok, I may go back and wear a bow tie. It seems like it attracts a lot of viewers. Go figure. Okay, today we want to talk about networking, and this is something that I really, really enjoy, a subject I really, really enjoy. And the reason is that I have essentially built three businesses, and advanced my career using networking. And I think that that is, just something that is so incredibly essential today. The research shows it. There is really no debate. 80% of executives in the United States have said that they believe that networking is an essential part of career management. And yet less than 50% of the people engage in it consistently and in an active way. And with the acceleration of AI and automation, which is now covering candidate sourcing and candidate screening, it's only going to expand. And so you can decide, it's really an easy decision. You can decide, do you want a computer algorithm, a piece of equipment, a machine to decide your fate, to decide your success in your career? Or do you want to take the matter in your own hands and build relationships? In an era where automation is dehumanizing recruiting, I would argue very strenuously that we need more human involvement in recruiting. So although having AI and involved in the recruiting can be extremely beneficial, it can really squeeze out racism. It can squeeze out the other forms of discrimination. It can eliminate a lot of biases that individual recruiters have. But at the end of the day, it also is making decisions based on a mathematical formula, tied to a job description. And quite frankly, if you're okay with those odds, which are currently about 150 to 1 that you will be successful, and those are going to expand as they bring more candidates into the pool from the automated candidate sourcing. If you're okay with that, if you're okay with the computer deciding your future, then that's great. But personally, I think it's much, much better if you have a friend, somebody who knows you and likes you or knows of your reputation, who will open the side door for you and help you bypass as much as possible the automation and get you right to before the decision maker. Even then, the odds aren't great, but I'll take 16 to 1 over 150 to 200 to 1 any day of the week. So the question then is, why do so many people not engage in networking? Well, the most common reason is I don't have time. And, okay, I get it. We're all very, very busy. But let me tell you something. When you're flying all across the country 3 to 4 days a week, you just have to make time to network, because that's where your next paycheck came from. That's where your next gig came from. And so, in the search business and a lot of other businesses, that if you own the company, it is what we commonly refer to as eat what you kill. And to be perfectly honest, when you're flying in an airplane, it's hard to network. So you have to be very, very, very intentional with your time and say, okay, I'm going to be at the Chicago O'Hare United Airlines Club, for 2 hours, and I can get some calls in. So let me start thinking about who I could reach during this period of time, or what messages I could send during this time, or what piece of information from my company could I share during this period of time. You have to be very, very intentional. My daughter is a extraordinarily talented communications coordinator for a major online company. And she, will tell you that in order to be successful in your communication, you have to have a plan. And that plan has to be backed by corporate mission, vision, and values, and it has to be backed by, a really clear-cut strategy. And the problem that a lot of people have in networking is that they know they're supposed to meet people, but well, why? What do we talk about? And the problem is, a lot of these people, shocker, they don't have a career plan either. Oh, well, I have a plan. Yeah, it's up here. But if it's not down here, if it's not on in your journal or in a file that you've written down, you've given some thought, you really don't have a plan. You have kind of a hope, an aspiration, maybe even a dream. When you have a plan with specific benchmarks and strategy options, for example, if you live in a smaller town, you lose your job, you're going to have to move. Where will you move? Do you have an idea of a part of the country you want to live in? Or are you just going to sit back and go, okay, whatever comes along? Well, the okay, whatever comes along people sometimes luck out and they do well. And there's no denying that. But in this new technologically driven society, sitting back going, oh, well, whatever happens, happens is kind of a fool's errand. So let's tie this back together. Networking is important. Having a career plan is important. Okay, having really firmly locked in mission, vision, and values in a value brand statement. Those are all extremely important. And you can't do one without the other. You can't really manage your career unless you're networking. You can't manage your career unless you have a plan. Yogi Berra likes to say, and it's a quote I use all the time because I'm a baseball fan, is if you don't know where you're going, you may end up someplace else and you might not like it. So networking is the process of supporting your plan, supporting your objectives. People know it's important. The statistics show that people that a lot of jobs are filled based on referral. And if you're at the senior level, that's extremely common. And that referral may come from a recruiter, or it may come from somebody who knows you and knows that a certain organization is looking for an executive and that they feel like you would be a good fit. Those things don't happen because you've sat back in your office and you were real busy and you were doing this tough, important, strategic stuff. And, I just don't have time for networking. I'm so busy. I'm so important. Well, let me tell you something. If you think your career is going to advance on its own because you've done a good job, you're crazy as hell. That might have been true in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and even to the early 2000s, but not so much anymore. And you've got to come to grips with that. You have to take control of your career, your brand. You are the CEO of you. And to be a successful CEO, you've got to accomplish your challenges. You've got to accomplish the things that you've set out that you want to accomplish. And networking is so instrumental to that. So people don't network because they don't have a plan. They don't have objectives that they're trying to achieve. So how does that, what's the driver there? If I lose my job and I worked for a system here no longer exists because of crack management, East Texas Medical Center Regional Health System, when I lost my job and I got crosswise with the CEO and it had been coming for a long time, and we agreed to disagree on an issue that was very, very important to me. And so, they asked me to leave, and it happens to all of us every once in a while. And, the other hospital in town, even though they came from Herman in Houston, where I used to work, there was very little chance they were going to hire me there. They didn't have a place for me. They didn't have a need for my skill set. And so I was not going to get picked up. The other facility here at the time in healthcare was the UT campus in North Tyler, out just north of the city. And they weren't going to be hiring anybody because they were a pretty small institution. They were more of a research facility. And so I had two choices. I was either going to have to build a company and stay here, or I was going to have to move. I had not even considered the possibility that would happen, even though there had been friction between the CEO and I for some time. And I'd always networked, but I didn't have a plan. And so my networking was just kind of really more designed to build the business that I had been charged with building at East Texas. And I wasn't doing networking for John. And so when it happened, I had to make some really hard choices. I tested the job market and it was pretty lukewarm. And so I decided, if I'm going to survive, I'm going to have to build my own deal. And I did. I built a company called John March Partners, and it was a search firm that I led for 16 years. But what helped that company succeed was I was able to take my networking that I had used to build the organization, my personal networking that I had not been very active with, and really turned up the juice. And from that point forward, I've been a networking kind of, an addict to networking since. So let me help kind of bring this together. You have to have a network to support your career plan. If you don't have a career plan, it's like going to the airport for a vacation and just saying, hey, can I buy a ticket someplace? Yeah, they'll sell you a ticket, but it helps if you know where you're going. Now, a little side factoid here. Do you know that a lot of executives spend more time planning their weekends and their vacations than they do networking? They spend more time thinking about what they want to do in their leisure time, which is great, than they do investing in their career to pay for that leisure time. And I will tell you that the chances of you succeeding in achieving your goals going forward without networking are going to be really, really tough. You have to have a plan, and you have to have networking that supports the plan. I would like to live in the Mountain West. I would like to live in Boise. Okay, there's a couple of big health systems there. They don't have any openings right now, but I know a couple of people there, so I need to let them know what my interests are, and then I need to start looking around to identify other people in the organization and in the healthcare community in Boise, and people who do business with the healthcare community in Boise, to start trying to make connections and reaching out and trying to build relationships. And then when I go to meetings where people are going to be that I want to either meet or I want to build on the relationship, I have to have a plan. Every year the American healthcare executives meet in Chicago, and they call it the Congress of the American College of Healthcare Executives. And that's a great meeting. A lot of people, their idea, they show up and they see their friends, and that's networking. And no, that's not networking. Seeing your friends can spill over into some networking, but this is an opportunity where you have 4,000 or 5,000 people in one place, including a lot of senior executives, to meet people. You're not necessarily going to find a job, but you have a chance to meet people. So if you are a senior VP and you're looking to move into an organization, if you can connect with the CEO, great. But if not, try to connect at your level or down a level to try to collect actionable business intelligence. Hey, I'm going to be at ACHE. I saw that you were on the registration list. I would love to meet you. I've always had an interest in your community and the work you guys are doing. Would you mind having a cup of coffee with me for 15 minutes? And you exchange business cards, and you get a chance to ask a few questions about what's going on, what's the market like, what's the competition like. You're not asking for a job. You're just building a relationship. Now, people say, well, what about LinkedIn? Well, let me tell you, LinkedIn's promise of providing digital, online network and relationship building is turned out to be a lot of hooey. It is a very, very good research tool. I want to go to Boise, Idaho. Great. So I can use LinkedIn and my ACHE directory and other resources that I have at my disposal to start identifying people in those communities. Oh gosh, he's on LinkedIn. He's an ACHE member. I'm going to build a file in my contacts and try to meet him next time they're at a regional meeting or a national meeting, or if I ever have to be there on business, I will try to call and have lunch or have coffee. Now, are you going to get rejection? Absolutely. It's not a rejectionless kind of process. But you have to understand that rejection is just part of any endeavor now. Nothing happens until somebody sells something. You got to sell yourself. You got to build a relationship, and it takes time. That's why LinkedIn is a tool. It's a good tool, but you're not going to build really good, deep, meaningful, trusting relationships based on direct messaging. Okay. There are other tools that you can use to facilitate that. However, it's really important for you to understand that it's the human interaction. And research shows that people are really, really much, much happier and much more comfortable in terms of deciding trust, building trust and being willing to refer somebody for a job if they've had that personal face-to-face interaction. Can YouTube, can Zoom and the Microsoft meetings and those types of video television tools be helpful? Absolutely. You can have what we're doing today, virtual coffee, but that takes a little while to kind of get to that point. Because how many times have you gotten a connection request on LinkedIn, and then 2.5 seconds later, they're trying to sell you something? Well, if you're going to be an adept networker, you have to really understand that people are tired of that crap. And people are tuning it out. So you have to differentiate yourself in the marketplace. I have a message that I send to all my connections. Hey, here's who I am. Here's what I do. Now, I'm really kind of low-key selling, but I'm not asking them to, when can you jump on a meeting? When do you have 15 minutes for? Let me explain my product. I can eliminate blemishes, reduce weight, take swings off your, strokes off your golf game. All of that nonsense. People want an authentic relationship, and they're very, very suspicious now of this LinkedIn kind of, I don't know who you are. Why do I know who you are? Why do I want to know who you are? So you have to be very intentional. You can't even do networking effectively without a plan. So you say, okay, I want to go to Boise, and I see these people. I know this person through a previous meeting in Houston. I have some relationship there, so I'll start. That will be my anchor contact, and then I'll sort of try to figure out who else should I get to know. One of the persons that I knew there was a CEO of a health systems company, and he knew that I was trying to build business, and he was I said, who do I need to know? And he said, I think there are 2 or 3 people in this town you really need to get to meet. And you can use my name, or if you need to, I'll be happy to send an email or make a telephone call. You have to ask those questions. You have to find out, who else should I know? Look, I'm very interested in the market, and you don't try to sell them anything, and you definitely don't ask for a job. Okay. And you're always ending every networking interaction with, what can I do for you? Okay. So these are really key things. These are really, really kind of key points. Have a plan, have a career plan, have a networking plan, have that networking plan tied to your career plan. If I lose this job, what's next? Where would I go? Are you just going to sit back? And I have people telling me when they call me to help them with their career, well, I'll tell you where I don't want to go. And when I hear that, I go, this person doesn't have a clue about what was going to happen next. They were old school people, really talented, really capable, but your talents and your capabilities now are getting lost with all the noise and the algorithms and all of that other stuff. And if you haven't thought about what your next steps are, then you haven't been building relationships in those communities where you have a chance maybe to move up, maybe even get a much better job. It doesn't happen because lightning strikes. It happens because you were intentional and you move forward. So that's kind of a quick, brief overview of networking. It's not something that is optional. Please hear this. It is not optional anymore. I will tell you that I can give you 10 or 15 very, very talented people who were very successful in running hospitals and healthcare businesses and other businesses that worked in the healthcare field that did not network. They found that their cadre of people that had always helped them move their career along suddenly retired. They were not even aware some of these people had retired. And you know where they are now? They're on the sideline. They are on the sideline. Some of them 5 to 8, 9 years sooner than they wanted to be. And these people are talented, really good people. Some of them now, there's some colleges and universities are very fortunate that they have some really skilled executives teaching real world experience and knowledge and leadership to graduate students. But there's not, for the number of people who don't network and end their career prematurely, there's not enough college positions to be, to teach. And more, you're almost going to have a PhD in some situations to get those, even adjunct faculty. You have to have a plan. You have to network. If you don't network, you're going to reach a point where there's nothing, and you don't ever want to be in that place. Again, I have built businesses and I've advanced my career based on networking. And it is something that I'm really good at, relationship networking. The digital networking, it's still a work in progress. So let me tell you some quick tools that you need to have. Number one, you need to have a CRM database. There's plenty of them out there. There's some of them are free. Most of them now are cloud-based. We're doing some product reviews. We'll share those with you in our career community platform next month. And we're going to be bringing people in who also are very, very good and talk about networking, how important networking it is. And the next thing you need to do is you need to get a video email service, and you need to learn how to do this because LinkedIn reported that in the last 2 years, posts had increased by 41% online, 41%. So that means there's more noise, more people selling stuff, more people trying to hook you in on a Bitcoin scheme or what the heck else. And so you have to stand out. And we send a video to new connections that says, hey, this is who I am and this is what I do. And if I can ever help you, let me know. I'm not trying to sell them anything. I'm not trying to get them to schedule an interview. I'm saying if I can help you, you decide and schedule a call with me. That is permission marketing, and that is content marketing. We don't do a lot of push out, beat you over the head email campaigns. I don't like them, and I'm hoping I can be successful in this business. Time will tell that without doing that to people. But you have to have an email program. Why? Because people are 75% more likely to look at an email or a DM that has video in it, as long as there's a disclaimer that this is a malware-free platform. We use SendSpark uses a Chrome extension, so Chrome's not going to let anybody use those extensions. That's not a really straight up provider. And we found that SendSpark, which is Austin, San Antonio area, good prices. They have a free service for a period of time. You can get a link on our YouTube page, and I think you can even get a discount for the first month. But we use it as a way to try to build relationships. And they don't have to be fancy videos. You can just hold up a whiteboard and say, hi, Sheila. You wave and say, I enjoyed talking with you today, Sheila. I hope that we can stay in touch. I really like your background. And if there's anything I can do for you, let me know. Click. That's it. I guarantee you, Sheila's going to remember that email. Okay. And if you're looking for a job, that's another way a recruiter will remember an email. So that you need to get that. You have to have a CRM database. You have to have a video email. You also need to have some other technology that will help you network when you're at meetings. There's something now called Stay Touch, or I think that's what it is. We wrote about it this morning in today's video called A Real Boring Video that you need to watch on networking. And you basically touch your phone with somebody else's phone if they have and you exchange your business cards electronically. Other people need, those of us who didn't come up with a phone in our hand, we will use. I use something called a brain toss, and if I see somebody I want to remember, even if I just pass them the hallway, and I've been wanting to meet that person, I will, I may stop and talk, and then quickly kind of scan their badge, and then quickly dictate. Once we've broken off the quick interaction, I'll quickly dictate the information, follow up with this thing, remind them of our visit in the hallway, between the second and third session on Tuesday. And then that sends me a reminder email instantly to my email box. And one of the problems people used to have is we exchanged cards. And can't tell you how many times I've lost business cards from networking events, and that's embarrassing, and it's really not productive. So when you spend that much money to go to a meeting, you need to have a plan of who you want to connect with, and you need to have the technology to facilitate that connection in a very professional sort of way. When you're trying to hold a plate of soggy shrimp and a drink or a glass of wine, and somebody wants to give you a business card, and you're not standing next to one of those little periodic cocktail tables, sometimes you can maybe quickly just put your glass on your plate if you've had any waiting experience, and then click your phone. Boom, it's done. People still exchange cards, and that's good. But you need to be up to date. When you use the technology, you're also showing the person you're connecting with, I'm with it, man. I'm not, I may be a gray hair, but I've got this. I'm technologically okay. So that's something else that you need to look at is the technology you use. And there are so many other things that are coming out. So this is changing at the speed of light, so to speak. So we will keep you informed. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat bar below, and I'll be happy to get them. Let me check, see what's come in. Okay. All right. How important is having a database? Well, we just talked about it. One of the things that people do in networking that's a really bad thing is that it's not intentional. It's not organized. It's not there. There's no plan. So when you meet somebody, here's some, I immediately say, okay, that's somebody I really want to get to know that can help my business. They can share information with me that they won't be a customer, but they can help me grow my business. That's a legitimate use of networking. And so I'll do the research. Where have they been? Where did they go to school? And I create a database entry. I see in their contacts that their birthday is on this date. Then I go look at social media and see if they have a personal site. A lot of times people have social sites and they'll mention their wife, Bridget. And then sometimes you'll see, they'll say Bridget and I had our anniversary or having our anniversary. And so you send them a note. I use sometimes if I don't have a lot of time, I use a service called Paperless Post. It's a very elegant, very sophisticated delivery system, and you can send a great customized card in the email. And people open it. When they open the email, the card comes up and then turns around. The envelope opens it up, and the card slips out. I mean, that's what's not to like about that. Snail mail is still impactful. I try to keep cards at my desk and send people messages. Back in the 80s, when I was selling hospital management service contracts, I had something called Saw You in the News, and we got all these clips. And I would, when I saw a clip for one of my targeted hospitals, I would send it to them in the mail. I can't tell you how many deals I advanced because the CEO said, "Oh, you're the guy who sends me all those clips." And then I really appreciate that. And sending somebody an anniversary note or a birthday note, or their kids are having a birthday. As you get to know their contacts, that's the level of penetration you want. You don't want to be intrusive, but you really want to be someone who is interested in them, is empathetic, and shows an interest. That makes a difference. And keep in mind one thing, if you don't remember anything else, the contacts you make on LinkedIn are not relationships, and relationships are what lead to introductions. Okay, jobs this week, 1.6 million people, and it's jumped off. Let's see if I can pull it up real quick, and we try to keep up with that. 1.6 million, it's loading. The states reported that 204,000 workers filed for new unemployment benefits during the week ending September 23rd, an increase of 2,000 from the previous week. This is called the JOLT report. And one of the things that I wrote about this week is that, some of these numbers are coming into question. The number of 8 or 9 million available jobs. There may be 8 or 9 million jobs out there that are listed, but not all of them are being actively recruited for. That's why if you're at the management level, executive level, there is a huge squeeze, and that's why networking is so important. Okay, so how important is get back on the point, the database. I try to keep those dates, and I have flags that come up a day or two in advance to alert me. Victoria's having an anniversary. Victoria's daughter just got accepted into a college. Victoria, Jason's son, was accepted to A&M, whatever. I send them a note, and I don't make a big deal out of it. I don't put a sales pitch. Hey, Jason, saw that your son Roger had been accepted to Texas A&M University. What a great, great thrill that must be. Much best wishes for much success, John. That's it. That's all. He'll remember that. And you don't try to do anything. Don't overreach. Just be consistent and play the long game. Networking is not a sprint. Networking is not a firehouse solution to job loss. if you don't start networking now, it's a longer term process. So you got to have the database because that keeps you informed and helps you stay in touch with people. Now, what's the size of a network? The Dunbar rule, which was based on a research study, Robin Dunbar, the British historical anthropologist, said that his study showed that mammals can only maintain relationships with about 140 to 150 people at one time. I suggest you kind of limit that to 200 because you have friends and family, and you have people that will come and go outside of your network. You may have somebody you're really close friends with in Seattle. Seattle may not be in your future career plans under any circumstances, but maintaining that relationship is important because that person may move into a market or take over in a market that you have a strong interest in. So you have to be strategic. You have to play a couple of steps in advance, and that database helps you stay informed. Why do experienced executives have such a resistance to networking? Well, first of all, they don't know how. It's not, one guy told me, he says, I didn't go to those career lectures when I was a senior. I thought it was just about the business version of how to meet girls. Okay. Let me tell you this. That's just so bizarre. I don't know what to say. But people don't network because they don't really have a purpose for networking. They don't have a plan to guide them. When you have a plan, you go, oh, I need to be doing this, and this. I need to get to my plan. I need to have these steps. I've got to complete these things. How am I going to do that? Who can help me do that? Bingo, networking. Secondly, people don't do it because they've got a hang up of somebody coming up to them in a meeting and introducing themselves. You know what? Get a life. If you're in a business where you're serving people, you can't hide in the damn corner office. So you really need to get over that, and you have to understand that it is now an essential part of the business environment, the business strategy, the moving forward. But people don't like rejection, and they don't like cold calling. And you know what? You got to get over that too, because people, some people are rude. I will grant you that. But more often than not, the people that I've talked to, reached out to get information from, have been very kind to me. And when they're not kind, you go, okay, got up on the wrong side of the bed, somebody stepped on their toes, whatever. You can't let some jerk who was rude to you, or some 4 or 5 jerks that are rude to you, go, oh, well, I just don't like that and I'm uncomfortable, and so I'm going to compromise my career over that. Come on, you're a bigger person than that. You're a better person than that. Don't let that happen. But that's the underlying reason why some people don't network. Let's see what else we have here. Okay. Why is it so hard to build relationships? This must be from a Gen Z or a millennial. Why is it so hard to build relationships with DMs? DMs are pretty cut short. You've got to, DMs are maybe a supplement that may be an initial contact, but you just can't build a relationship on DMs. Would you marry someone that your only interaction was on a DM? Hell no. So you've got to have a plan. How am I going to take this connection that I made on LinkedIn? You're not going to advance it really on LinkedIn. What other techniques or strategies can I use to try to build a relationship? LinkedIn is a noisy, crowded place. They are now up to 950 million members, subscribers, and it's more of a billboard and a recruiting platform than a networking site. And so you can't really depend on LinkedIn to actually help you execute. It's a research tool. It can be a tactical tool, but it can't be your silver bullet. Let's see. We're just past time. I'm going to take one more question. What are some ways to enhance the process? Well, first of all, I've always looked at it as a game. A lot of people aren't comfortable with it. A lot of people don't do it. So that's 55% of the people who don't want to network. You know what that does? You know what that means? That means there's a gaping hole for you to drive through. 50% of the market is not doing something that's necessary for to help them find their next better job. So you need to get really, really serious about this and become an expert networker, because you're going to find that your stock moves up. Even if you're not the brightest porch light on the block, if you're a great networker, you're going to find your fair share of next better jobs. I hope this has been helpful for you today. If you have other questions, you can reach me at info@johngself.com. And as we close down, let me tell you about our new service that was launched, and we're still unpacking the crates, so to speak. It's called Your Career Community, and it gives you access to all of our training for $49 a month. $49 a month, and it's a month-to-month subscription. So we're saying, look, we're not going to try to hold you to a contract. We want to earn your confidence every month. And we will be doing more and more live sessions and more formal courses. We're going to continue doing our Career Lives on Thursday in a more abbreviated fashion. But the Career Community, once you become a member, sign up for Your Career Community, our course at johngself.com. Just click the little red tab on the right-hand side, or go to the bottom tab, and there's another button under Your Career Community. Once you click that and give us your credit card information, then you have automatic access to the community. This week and this weekend, we're building and adding more content to the community site, and we hope to make it much more meaningful. We're just getting started, so we're in the process of signing our first paying customer today. And so it's exciting. I think this is people want community, and we want to be able to provide them the education they need in a cost-effective way and support them. We are all people who believe that the secret today in today's crowded marketplace is, to quote my friend T.D. Smyers, you need to have sustained superior performance. And then you have to have a hell of a network to back you up. Cheers, everybody. Hope you have a great day, a great weekend, and a wonderful weekend. And we'll see you back here next Thursday morning at 7:30 for Career Live on LinkedIn.